Hello. Um, what makes a building a great building? Often, when walking on the streets of downtown or your own neighborhood, we come across that one building, a house, or even a bridge that calls our attention. For the most part, we don't know why, but our attention is drawn to it. Well, there is a simple explanation why this happens. It comes in the form of how original and symmetrical the structure is, things that happens when the designer or architect followed to the letter a series of steps or three phases to be exact while designing the structure. These phases are the programming phase, the schematic design, and the design development, more commonly known by the name of the architectural design process. The architectural design process is the single most important and powerful method for building a successful structure. This process provides practical solutions to any given problem presented by any structure. Let's begin with the programming phase, or what architects refer to as problem situation. This phase is mainly exploratory. Here the architect meets with the client and gets a general idea of the project challenges. This is accomplished by a series of questions such as what are the client's needs? Is the main function of the building being a hospital, house, or an apartment complex? What are the physical limitations of the project? These are usually things like property size and access to the property. What are the code restrictions? These are usually dictated by the city or state, and some of them are the amount of parking spaces and ADA accommodations. After all of these questions are identified, the architect moves into what can be seen as the solution part or final part of the programming phase. In this part, more issues are identified, such as what are the client's goals. This could be a particular look to the structure or the type of mood that the space should create. Who are the users of the structure going to be? What are the needs? This usually helps to identify how many rooms and how big they need to be. It also refers to the type of activity that will take place in the space, and of course how much the structure is going to cost. Once the program part of the project has been established, the architect's attention shifts rapidly from what the problems are to how to solve them on paper. This is achieved by a process called schematic design or schematic phase. The main objective in this phase is basically to establish a simple sketch with plain shapes like circles, triangles, squares, lines, and arrows that allows the architect to identify how the structure or space is going to be affected by every possible variable. First, one of the most important factors in this phase is the relationship between the structure and its surrounding, as well as the relationship between the structure components. How the sun and wind are going to affect the structure. Knowing the direction in which they affect the structure, can they be used to benefit the way the structure functions? For example, the use of solar power or the position of the structure in such a way that more of the natural breeze is utilized and less air conditioning is needed. How the different components of the structure relate to one another. For example, in a house you will want easy access to the bathrooms from the bedrooms, or easy access to the kitchen from the garage, to make it easier bringing your groceries in from the car. Another situation that is considered is the relationship of the structure with other structures around it in terms of privacy for their occupants. Once a general idea of how the project is going to function is completed, the architect channels his or her focus to the small details that will make his creation unique, or third phase, also known as the design development phase. The main focus in this part of the design process is the way the structure is going to look inside and out. The proper materials for the project are selected for every specific part of the structure. For example, in a house, this will be the materials to be used in the bathrooms, kitchen, bedrooms, and so on. The relationship between the outdoors and indoors of the structure, for example, how the landscape relates to the structure, and any other minor details. In conclusion, the success or failure of a structure or space depends on how well the architect followed the 3 steps or phases of design, from the programming phase that established a detailed understanding of the client's needs, to the more design-involved schematics or all the major challenges that the structure can face or resolve, to the final phase of design development, in which the structure begins to come to life. Now I would like to leave you with this thought. The success of a structure should be measured in 2 ways: the satisfaction that it gives to its occupants and the people that come in contact with it. And the most important aspect, the impact it has on our environment. Protecting our biggest structure, the earth, should always be the main focus. Some of these concepts that I presented to you come from the La Beach Architectural Group and Arterial Architectural Group. Thanks.
Abuela, di tu nombre. El nombre.
Hola.
El tuyo.
Mario.
Heidi, Brenda, Giselle,
Humberto.
Miguel.
John.